Hey y'all, welcome to the internet. I'm gonna be y'all host. My name's Gerard. I appreciate all y'all out there who might drop in and stuff, some of the stragglers that I might pick up. Thing is, we can't be here all that long. Maybe got 30, 35 minutes tops that we could be here. But I felt like it was a good idea to drop in, and make this a regular thing. Check in with y'all, see what y'all got to say about some stuff. There's so much going on, and there pretty much will be for the foreseeable future. But one of the big things we're going to be looking at, thinking about right now is Sheriff Scotty Israel. That is a former Sheriff Scotty Israel. All right, we're going to be talking about him just a little bit. Thing is, he's got some sort of thing. And y'all, I still don't know exactly what's the protocol, what's procedure, and this and that, and outs about the legal. I don't know if it's legal or the justice system, how it works. But apparently, the Florida Senate, is gonna have some sort of hearing, some sort of meeting, or some sort of gathering in which they decide whether or not Scotty Israel is to keep his job. And actually, I got a screenshot about it, a pretty recent one. I'll just pop to that one. Look at that lady. Man, God bless this lady for sure. But the thing is, I've seen this lady. I think you've seen this lady probably. She's been at some of these commission meetings, safety commission meetings. Apparently, her name is Lauren Book. Thing is, honestly, I'm not gonna say very much, but someone who's looking like that at that particular moment is looking suspicious. All right, I mean, at that particular moment, that's all I'm gonna say. Lauren Book among senators who recommended to reinstate Scotty Israel. Now, I didn't see it in I didn't see it too much, too great of a detail. Her correspondence with the former sheriff Scotty Israel, but I did see a little bit in which she pretty much said, "Hey, aren't you lying?" or insinuated that he was lying or mistaken about what he was alleging in front of everybody in public. All right. And then somebody else called him out. I forget what other sheriff called him out after that. And blah, blah, blah. They were having a meeting, and I'm sure they had all of this different correspondence that I don't know about. Anyway, she recommends to reinstate Scotty Israel. And that's interesting. We don't have that's just a screenshot, but it would be 2.5 minutes of pretty much nothing, I bet you. Thing is, you got to wonder why Lauren Book. I kind of want to hear from her, actually, now that I think about it. We might do it. We might think about it. But we'll wait until somebody comes in and see if they have something better to do. High school cancels football season, fires Erie coach after suspended player suits up with a different identity. That's the rest of the word, identity. This is in St. Louis, I guess, or some sort of suburb of St. Louis. St. Louis High School actually has canceled the rest of their football season. Fired every coach. And apparently what happened is, this football player, he's really, really good. And, everybody's so excited about football and stuff. And, he's so good. And he got suspended or something. Some sort of, I already read into it. He got suspended at the end of the last season, at the beginning of this season, or something like that. Something happened where he played when he shouldn't have played. And they made up a whole different identity and said, "Oh no, this isn't this guy. This is a different guy. He's a freshman. He's this and that guy." But they made him up. All right, is a person that pretty much does not exist. And they made him up and said he's playing football and he's going to be real good. And that was just for one game. It was like a 1-game suspension that they could have just sat him out for one game, but they were like, "Nah, let's create a whole different identity." We're just going to touch on those little things right quick, just to get that out of the way. Donald Trump is accused of flipping the bird at female astronaut who fact-checked him. It's kind of nuts, man, but you already know what it is. So I did want to point this one out as well. just because I've synchronized Google into telling me like always when Atomwaffen division comes up. So all these things that nobody else hears about and that you have definitely not heard about. I get wind of. So if you're here with me, I'll go ahead and share with you Atomwaffen division. What is Atomwaffen division? I don't know. They have all sort of proof and stuff like that. They have like pictures, and they have these guys, and they're suited up, and they're shooting guns, and they're laughing and stuff like that. I don't tend to believe it and stuff. A lot of people will look at that kind of evidence and say, "Oh, well, that's real. That's very real. Everything's happening is that's real, and it's taking over America. I believe it. I see them out in the streets." But meanwhile, it's like nobody's ever heard of this and stuff like that. So it's just almost making me seem ridiculous for even bringing it up. I understand that. I understand it makes me look ridiculous to even bring it up. I was looking at sprockets. I actually had to get one of these. I want to say I had to get one of these here sprockets for my motorized bicycle. I was taking a look at that. I was actually taking a look at GoPros and stuff, real cheap GoPros on eBay and stuff like that. The internet and things, to get a bargain. But I kind of had to get that instantaneous gratification. So I went down to Target and they had GoPros, so I took one. I didn't take one, I bought one. And it was a little bit more expensive and stuff, but I got it instantly. I got these different attachments. I don't know exactly how to work them. Uh, Anyways, you got it. You can put it on your backpack, y'all. See, I'm trying to think about which ways maybe I could take a GoPro with me on different various things, like maybe a bike ride, motorbike ride. Some people like that. Definitely the flag run and stuff like that. Take people on a journey. Here's a picture, and we're just gonna go back into the Scotty Israel thing and touch upon that before we get on out of here. Here's a picture of a video that I made a long, long time ago, 6 months ago. And it's actually a pretty interesting video, real short, about this lady. She's this one lady. I don't know, she was writing a book or something. It was a long time ago. She was a psychologist, if you will. It's called the Indiana Elementary Sacrifice Ritual, in which, we were talking at the time about how these shooting drills, active shooter drills, red code drills, code red drills, the alarms and stuff like that, and people freaking out, and fake guns and fake blood and stuff like that. We're talking about how that's a terrible idea. That's like 180, the wrong thing. You wouldn't want to do this, but people do it, and it's allowed. About the school shooting drills, which could prove to be very confusing. If Parkland was a real thing and it really did happen, people were all sort of confused because of these dang drills and the rumors of drills. All right, so every part of it is kind of dumb. David Hogg, he comes up, and I know it's not popular. You probably never heard of it. But David Hogg comes up and says, it's a terrible shame that we're having all these drills. I can't believe that we had to grow up in a country where we have all these drills. It's like, dude, stop having the drills. They shouldn't be having these drills. Anyways, it's a picture of a video that I had, and I think it got copyright striked, or I think that is what it was, that it got copyright striked or something. People couldn't view it. It's pretty interesting. It's by this therapist. That was me talking about Atomwaffen. I thought it was interesting. I wanted to point this out. That's me talking about Atomwaffen 7 months ago, right, on YouTube. Of course, not even all my contributors really care about Atomwaffen, right? Only some of them probably, but Atomwaffen, the most dangerous animals in America, that video got 935 whole views. All right, so think about that, man. People are actually scouring this thing that you never heard of, right? And that nobody that has even heard of it. This got 935 views on my video, right? And I got a little video. You might say, well, you might be the only person out there talking about Atomwaffen. I doubt it, because I've shown definitely the sources of people talking about Atomwaffen. That's a real thing. I mean, it's not a real thing, but it's a thing that people definitely talk about for real. Parkland parents to protest possible reinstatement of Scotty Israel. There's another thing. Like, people have been talking about it for a few days leading up to the whole incident. These are all sort of dang screenshots that I found interesting to broadcast out of the broadcast. The thing is, I still don't have my thing up and going. I'm checking on the broadcast and stuff. He's on Facebook. That's my homie Greg Brockhouse. And he does his thing sometimes, and I appreciate it. Trump supporters stand by their man. He's a pompous, arrogant jerk, says one, but that's the one we need now. I think we all agree. Parkland families are furious with the FBI, so they're backing a transparency plan for tips. It's interesting. People have a lot of different suggestions on how to improve the situation. I might remind you that I believe his name's Rob Lasky. That's the guy that we're looking at. He had nothing but excuses and stuff and apologies. He's like, dude, we couldn't do the job, and we tried our best to do the job, and we failed miserably, and we're sorry about it. We had warnings. We had all sort of red flags, but to say, yeah. He's like, thank you. God bless you. God bless your families. We're going to get out of here. I'll holler at y'all later. I'm going to hang out with my boy Scotty. My boy Scotty Israel. Right behind him, like a shadow. All right. Parkland massacre trial officially set in January 2020. We've mentioned that before, real briefly before we get out of here. I don't know what time it is. All right. We gotta keep it short this time. But Parkland massacre trial officially set for January 2020. Shooter's defense is not happy, dude. They explained it over and over and over. They might as well have a bullhorn. They might as well have shirts printed up that says, "We do not care for a trial at all." They don't want to have a trial at all. They made this abundantly clear, and they're going through all sort of different ways to try and convince everybody to not have a trial. Does that make you wonder why? I mean, I couldn't tell you their intent. Far be it from me to imply what their intent is, but they do not want to have a trial at all. Meanwhile, it's probably a good thing that they don't want to have a trial because of all the evidence. Yeah, it's all contradictory. You'd have to take only little bits and pieces. Trust me, if we are going to go to a trial in January 2020, that is exactly what they're going to do. They're going to take little bits and pieces. All right, I'm going to play by play. This is how it's going to go play out. They're going to take bits and pieces, and little tiny pieces of the truth, and put them together and say, "Oh, look, don't you see Nicholas Cruz did it?" And it's like, can't you just get over and forgive him? Don't you want to just throw him in jail and rot in jail forever and ever? And just forget about him. Don't ever let him talk about anything. All right, they're gonna be like, dude, what's a trial? We don't even need a trial. It's like, what is trials? And they're gonna, try to skip past it. They're gonna be like, look, this is the truth, nothing but the truth. It's a little one-dimensional story in which this and that and this happened, and we're sorry about it. And our little guy, he wants to go to jail forever, and that's how we're gonna do it. That's how we're gonna play it. That's exactly what they're gonna do. All right, and I'm talking about for like a number of weeks, all up in court, saying thousands of words, all sort of legalese and stuff like that. It's just going to be mind-numbing. It's going to be mind-numbing, but that's exactly what they're going to say and do. All right, but the problem is, okay, there's my theory, that God has actually got a hand in this and stuff. There's a God of everything, to include the universe, and he's actually making a mockery of everything. And he's taking stuff and he's mashing it up and he's mushing it up. And he's showing you all the evidence. He put all the evidence out on blast. All right. The news people, they ran by their own little daddy. All right. Their daddy was telling them what to do and they did what they wanted to do. However, God was making a mockery of the entire situation. Now, I might be going over some people's heads right now. I'm just here to say that, okay, if something very scandalous was happening behind the scenes, people trying to get away with it, it's not working. It's not even close to working. In fact, it's the exact opposite of working. These people are getting away with nothing, and there's so much evidence. Dude, I've shared so much evidence. I've shared overwhelming evidence, personally. I know that for a fact, but the thing is, there's so many people out there show so much more evidence way sooner than me and just showed it all over the place. The evidence is out. It's come to light, all the crazy different wild mockeries that we were told to believe in. Of course we don't believe in them. All right? So what's going to happen is it's going to go to trial. Like I said, the defense attorney is going to try to phone it in, and they're going to do everything. I swear, they're going to call in to work and stuff like that. They're just going to not try to show up. They're going to be low key as they can. And they'll be like, oh, can't you just let our guy slide and go to jail forever? Just let's forget about it. Let's not have a trial. or they're just gonna like hesitantly go through whatever facts they can to try and keep a straight story. Meanwhile, God, like I said, it's got a hand in it. It's gonna come down basically and tinker with their little plans. He's gonna basically make them make a fool of themselves in front of everybody. It is a show. All the world is a stage, probably. That's my theory. And he's gonna make them look like damn fools when they do it, because this whole situation has been totally blown wide open. And I'm talking about from days out and stuff. We're a year and a half out. All right, this stuff's been out. People been knowing. And so it's so weird because some people been knowing, a lot of people out here been knowing, but meanwhile you had this lady, for example, the lady that we shared at the beginning. Oh, you didn't catch this guy totally lying or being just totally mistaken, completely mistaken, out of line, totally mistaken. You didn't catch him all up in front of committee saying this and that, and none of it made sense. And you can't turn around and say, look, this dude, he's senile. He needs to be in a home or something. At the very least, either that or he's lying his ass off with his eyebrows up all the time. Why is it like that? That's what I'd be saying if I was this lady, but apparently this lady's blind as a bat. Look at those big old glasses. I'm not trying to judge her. I'm just trying to say, oh man, I don't know how to trust somebody who looks like that. I'm just saying, like, God bless you. God bless everybody out there and stuff, man. But if you leave the house looking like this, you realize that people don't know whether or not to trust you at all, man. I'm just here to... Ah, man, I just wanted to share that. It's very interesting. That is coming up. The Senate is going to make a big deal of it tomorrow. I mean, see, here's the only deal. Lauren Book, she's a senator, right? She might be by the book, basically. Who knows? I don't know her personality. I can look at her and say, oh, that's untrustable, probably. But I don't know from what angle she's going to approach the situation. What's her background and her history? What's her voting history and stuff like that? What she stand for? I don't know. But according to this headline, and that could be mistaken, that could be fake news. According to the headline, it says that she would like to reinstate Scotty Israel. Now, the only way that I could think that that's even in her mind, before we get out of here, I wanted to share is that she's following some sort of legal policy or something like that. Like there's some sort of statute set in place, and she's going by the books. She's going by the numbers. She's all like, oh man, we just have to follow policy. This is the law, and there's some sort of law set in place to make sure that Scotty Israel does get his job back and did get his job back. And the thing is, you got to also know that I forget when, but pretty soon that sheriff spot's gonna be a new election. There's gonna be another election and stuff. So I mean, the whole thing does not even close to make sense, as we've already explained before. Scotty Israel is looking mad suspect, and it's crazy how much people don't call him out. There's been people who called him out very publicly for example, being a liar, for perhaps being insidious. People have called him out, but they haven't really called him out to the extent to say, you know what, he's lying. He's lied about all this stuff. He's lied about this and that and the third. How come we don't just question what he had to say, what the FBI had to say? I mean, they came down and said all this sort of stuff that contradicted all the other sort of stuff that they said. And then it said, well, that's just what it is. That's just what we're going to do. All right. So in this stage of the game, that's what it is. All right. Before we get out of here, and like I said, it's just going to be a short thing. I just wanted to drop in. People out there are busy right now, and I appreciate everybody. Man, someone done popped into the room right now, man. It's a dang shame. Thing is, we only have a little bit of time, like I said. I don't know who just popped in. All right. But we're going to have a short broadcast today. All right. We've already covered a lot of things. For the person who just popped in, what is it, Courtney? Hold on one second. Let me see. Comments. It does say Courtney. Courtney's up in the building. Listen, we already pretty much did the whole broadcast. I don't know if you're aware or not aware, but largely what we talked about is Lauren Book, amongst other senators there in South Florida, and they're going to about to have a meeting or some sort of deal, a hearing or something like that in regards to a former sheriff, Scotty Israel. Now, this is in regards to Broward County. This is South Florida. Um, Specifically a suburb called Parkland. It's pretty, I don't know, a lot of people know about it, heard about it. Last year, February 14th, 2018, there was an incident, a mass shooting incident. There's a lot of debate over it. There's a lot of turmoil over it. There's a lot of evidence that's doesn't make any sense. Like, none of that evidence makes any sense or, corresponds with the official narrative that people have been given. In fact, the official narrative the whole incident has actually been contradicted a couple different times by official sources. Anyways, that's a whole long story. The thing is, Scotty Israel, who's a sheriff, he was a former sheriff at Broward County. You know what's up about Parkland? Oh, that's good. All right, cool. Because I was basically getting there. Sheriff Scotty Israel, they're about to give him, or they're about to hear about whether or not he should be reinstated. And we're talking about this. We're saying, hey, Lauren Book, I don't know her from Eve. Like, honestly, I don't know who she is. Besides those few words that I've heard her speaking in the safety meetings, I don't know who she is. Thing is, I can kind of recall her calling out Scotty Israel on either being misinformed or being a liar. At a certain point, I know a couple people did. And what the headline is saying is that, she would recommend to reinstate Scotty Israel. And the only way that I can imagine that being is through some sort of policy, like maybe she's textbook, maybe she's going by the book's policy. And for whatever reason, policy states that Scotty Israel should get his job back. Because other than that, I mean, Scotty Israel is proven to be ineffective, to say the very least. Right? And, that's not even for people on his side of things. There's people out there who'd be Scotty Israel fans if only he would stop messing up. And stop just not even just messing up, but looking as insidious as he does, like a wart. It's kind of like it. I don't know, man. Kind of like I don't know what you say. It unveils a lot of things, events and narratives, conflicting. Yeah, it's a lot of events and narratives that were conflicting. Okay, so we were talking about that. We were talking about Parkland. We've been talking about it for a while. Like I said, there's a hearing or some sort of meeting. They're about to decide whether or not. Look, the chances are it's not going to happen. And this ridiculous carnival is just going to keep going on or something like that. I mean, when it does happen, when they finally say, hey, Scotty Israel, there's no way you're getting your job back. You dropped the ball so many times to include the airport deal. But I'm sure a lot of different other times, man. There's a lot of scandalous stuff going on. In the short time that he was sheriff, they're going to basically say no, all right? But there's an off chance that they would say yes. Now, if they did say yes, that is not going to be good at all. Not at all. Because like I said, it's not even popular opinion. Most people, even on both sides of the political coin, do not find Scotty Israel to be affordable. He doesn't even look affordable. And then when you see the people who are opposing him, it's just like, politically speaking, no, yeah, they're going to keep their jobs and you're going to hopefully fade off because you're like a Hillary Clinton. People want you to fade off and get out of here. You're bad PR. All right. Your face just looks like that. All right. And not just to be superficial, but your actions have definitely proved to be like that. You're very pompous. All right. And that's just not me just saying that. I know a lot of people feel the same way. Thing is, okay, we're about to get out of here, but what I also wanted to share with y'all, it's going to be real quick, is my boy. And I know a lot of people out there, they might be like, oh, we don't know about that boy. But I'm here to tell you, and I'll vouch for him. Everybody's got theories. We don't know what's going on, all right? If we knew what was going on, that'd be another thing. But we got theories, and we think we know what's going on around here, all right? And a lot of times we sync up with each other, and we vibe with each other. And if we know what we're about to say, we say things that somebody else said, and we didn't even know that we said it. We just both said it at the same time, all right? I'm here to tell you, a lot of people out there, they look at, the fact is, and I say it from time to time, I say, InfoWars, man, they've just been bringing that hot fire, all right? And a lot of people hate on that. A lot of people say, oh no, not InfoWars, not Alex Jones, he's the worst. All right, the thing is, when I say InfoWars, I also mean just a handful, like, dude, 5 or 6 different other people as far as reporters. And you'd be surprised how varying what they say is. They're all individuals, and they say like whatever they want. It's not just towing the Alex Jones talking points type thing. It's just that they're kind of synced up a little bit on certain things. And meanwhile, they run roughshod, dude. They go all wild. And that's why I endorse it and stuff. The reason I'm bringing it up right now is because not Alex Jones, because I know a lot of people hate him. All right. And do what you will. But the thing is, Alex Jones aside, not Alex Jones, Mike Adams, he's definitely someone who I've synced up with. I could tell. All right. I could just tell because I always say certain things on the video, on the YouTube. Yeah, we're about to tune in just right now. But I was saying different things. Here's the thing. People might think, oh, man, well, you're just getting your stuff from InfoWars, and that's how you know what to say, what you're saying. Thing is, I'll say what I say. I don't know how to take this comment. So, thing is, I'll say what I'll say, and then I'll hear it on InfoWars later. You know, believe it or not, like, I'll come back to InfoWars and I'll hear them say something very similar. All right, so just to cap off the night, what I really wanted to share with y'all is somebody who's kind of syncing up with me, like I said, and saying pretty much what I've been saying about Parkland, not only Parkland, but probably all sort of different other events. All right, I'm not sure. I specialize in Parkland, and I could tell you he is definitely really onto something, and I'm just saying it because I think I know where he's coming from. Anyways, let's go ahead and tune in to, this is Mike Adams. You can find him on Natural News and all sort of other different things, to include InfoWars.
Listeners, it's a Natural News.
Oh, man. Get my audio straight.
And newswars.com. I've had it reposted to the front page of InfoWars.com. Now lay it out, Mike.
All right, the first thing to realize is that the mainstream media operates with emotional currency. So emotional currency, just like the Federal Reserve prints fake fiat currency, the mainstream media creates emotional currency. That is outrage, hatred, and so on. CNN is a hate network. They are basically a hate spewing factory. They produce hate, and they produce outrage, and they produce sometimes pity, you know, when they're showing pictures of children who have supposedly been bombed in other countries. Even when those photos are faked, it creates the emotional currency. Now, this emotional currency is then spent by the political establishment to create the political outcomes that they want, to try to get Trump out of office, for example, or to attack conservatives, or attack Christians, or attack gun owners. So emotional currency is created through mass shootings where there are real people who are shot and killed. Anytime the media can show actual bloodshed on camera, remember, if it bleeds, it leads, that's their motto, then they are creating, they're actually printing emotional currency that they can spend to push for new restrictions. Red flag gun confiscation laws, for example, or even an attempt to ban the Second Amendment. Now, when it comes to getting Trump out of office, which is the all-important goal of the globalists right now, they have to eliminate Trump before Barr and Durham and Trump himself expose the total crimes and corruption, the bribery, the kickbacks like to Joe Biden's son and so on. If Trump isn't removed, then all of that's going to be exposed. And it's going to be devastating to the DNC, the Clinton Foundation, Barack Obama himself, and all the deep state operatives who took part in the illegal, unconstitutional coup attempt against President Trump. So the emotional currency, getting back to that, has to be created and then directed as a weapon. It's kind of like it's a psychological weapon system. It really is a psyop. But they have to spark a major event in order to create this emotional currency. Now, emotions bypass logic and reason. So you notice how if you try to reason with a liberal, that never works. Millie Weaver from InfoWars had some excellent videos that played, I think, yesterday on the Sunday show about how she was talking to a progressive and saying, hey, it doesn't 2 + 2 = 4. And the progressive said, no, depends on what your definition of 2 is, right? So logic and reason are no longer there. Emotions bypass that neurological circuitry. And this is well known by the globalists, which is why they evoke emotion in order to bypass logic. You know, logically, Trump was elected by the people. Trump won the Electoral College vote. Trump is a legitimate president, and he is actually doing the work that his supporters and the voters want him to do. And yet, irrationally, from an irrational point of view, Trump has to be removed because they say orange man bad, and they don't like him, they don't like his demeanor, and so on. So how do you do that? That's what this report has focused on. It is published at Infowars.com. How do you spark massive outrage and generate emotional currency to be directed against Trump's supporters as a weapon? Here's the answer. This is how the globalists do it. This is their blueprint. They take everything they want to demonize and they wrap it up into a scenario theater to be played out along with real casualties, real violence, real bloodshed that can be caught on camera. So what do they want to demonize? They want to demonize patriots, Trump supporters, AR-15s, homemade guns, 80% lowers that are turned into AR-15s or 3D printed guns. They want to demonize white men. They want to demonize nationalism or just, let's say, pride in your own country. They want to demonize the American flag and so on and so forth. They want to demonize free speech online because they don't want conservatives to be allowed to have that speech. So how could you create a scenario? Imagine if you were a playwright and you were writing a script. What scenario could you write that would encompass all of these different elements and demonize all of them at the same time with emotional currency to provide a powerful narrative to the mainstream media? How would you do that? Well, we know the answer. And this answer is what's described in that story. I'll cover it here in a second. This is the playbook. This is the blueprint of how the globalists have run these operations forever. I mean, in America's history, I should say. They've been running these false flags, especially since the end of World War II.
And Mike, I want you to get into this right now, and it's in your article, step by step, for the citizens, for law enforcement. This is a maximum action item to get this out, to stop it, or if they try to pull it, we can catch them with their pants down in the middle of it. They prep, so when it happens, they go, see, we told you. So they say Trump's going to cause violence against the media. Trump's causing mass shootings. And then when their provocateurs or their minions or just their spiritual fellow travelers go out and do it, they cover up and say it's a Trump supporter and push it with maximum effect. They've already been doing it. They're just clearly gearing up to do it on a larger scale. And so this is what they've, just like Charlottesville, where they finance the right wing and they finance the leftists. They collide them. A poor woman gets killed. We point out Soros funded it. The police stood down. They spin it and say that we say they killed the woman themselves. No, they created the atmosphere that allowed it to happen. And they sued me to try to stop us from questioning that narrative ahead of more of these conflagrations that they're trying to create. So please continue.
Well, they have to recruit a scapegoat or two in order to pull this off. So the scapegoat will be recruited. And this
Lee
is
Harvey
something
Oswald, part two. Tim McVeigh, part two.
Exactly. The scapegoat will usually be a veteran. It'll be a Trump supporter, a firearms owner, and the scapegoat will be told a lie, such as, hey, the president wants you to join a secret protection team, and we are going to protect the president during this rally. You can't tell anybody, wink, wink, you're going to be part of a team.
And we're not attacking everybody in Q because a lot of people think it's good. It's perfect to set you up. It's made for it.
Yeah, exactly. This is how the setup happens. So then the FBI usually, again, they run many, many terror plots all across the country, and then they arrest people at the last minute. This is how the FBI, operates. This is how they, quote, stop terrorism. And, the New York Times covered that. I quoted that in the story. But they'll take these scapegoats and they'll load them up on a bus with other operatives who are part of this staged team. They'll all be dressed up in American flags, ballistic vests, veteran type of patches on their outfits and so on. They'll all have AR-15s and so on. And then at the appropriate time, this group will be unleashed and the scapegoats won't know what's happening, but the operatives who are part of this will open fire on an innocent crowd, perhaps Antifa protesters, perhaps leftist protesters, who knows? They're going to open fire on an innocent crowd. CNN's cameras will just happen to be there to catch all of this on camera. The scapegoats will be arrested or shot on site, so either killed or arrested, and then the narrative rolls out. Everybody else will escape and leave the scene, and it'll be the scapegoat with a homemade AR-15 with a Trump bumper sticker and an InfoWars history in his browser. That will be the narrative. And from that point on, they will use all that powerful emotional currency, the dead children, the blood, the gore, the guts spilling out all over the streets. They will say this is Trump's fault, this is Alex Jones' fault, and see, Trump is violent, Trump supporters are violent, and they'll call for a total revolution. Antifa will be sparked. It will explode across every street, every city in America. Mass violence, unrest, arson. The leftists will bomb government buildings. That's how they're going to spark it.
All right, y'all. We got to get out of here. I got to get some things situated before I go get that money. All right. But, I brought that up. I mean, there's a lot of things that he touched upon and nuances that he covered. That would be Mike Adams, in which we definitely been touching upon that. We definitely been leaning towards that, or at least I have over here. It's what it looks like, man. I mean, when you consider how they operate, when you consider what they want to get accomplished, when you consider their reputation, their background, it just kind of makes sense that they would sort of do this sort of thing or incite this sort of thing through their magical means or whatever, like whatever it is that they call it. All right, and the thing is, I don't know exactly what's gonna happen. I talk to everybody out there. They say you can feel the tension building up. I couldn't say exactly what's going to happen and stuff, but that sounds like the scenario that he was talking about, as far as a van full of people and props and people thinking that they're acting and this and that. And you're going to be part of a drill and stuff like that. That definitely, I don't know if he had any sort of intent to inclinate or whatever, Parkland in that regard. I don't know if that's what he meant, but the thing is, I get a weird feeling that is what it is with Parkland. Like I said before, that's been the theory. And anyways, we're going to go on. We're going to cover it. We're going to cover some more things out there. I've been kind of slipping and tripping. But I plan to get back up on the horse. I'll holler at y'all a little bit later. And I appreciate y'all. It is October 22nd, 2019. And I'll holla.